Hello there, and happy whatever day it is for you. Right now it's Saturday when I'm taping this. Who knows when it'll be when you see it, but I hope everything's going well with you, and hope you enjoy what I have to say today. What I'm looking at today is a slightly different take on what people say when they say, I'm afraid and I want to try something, but I'm afraid to do it. I'm going to give you something to think about. So before I get into that, let me give you the quote. This is from Robert Schuller. What would you attempt to do if you knew that you could not fail? What would you attempt to do if you knew you could not fail? Now, a lot of people will say, well, I would try to do whatever if I could not fail, but if they don't because they're afraid that they are going to fail and they're going to lose money or whatever it is that they're afraid that's coming with them. But I want you to think about it. Let's just say, for the sake of argument, that you're going to want to learn a second language or another language. Let's put it that way. I'm going to use that. It could be that you want to lose weight. It could be that you want to start a job. It could be that you want to get a degree. It could be just about anything. But let's say, just because I need to have something to make this much more sensible, that you want to learn another language, but you're afraid because you think that you're going to fail if you try it. You're going to just basically land on your face or something like that, and you're just not going to be successful. Okay, I understand where you're coming from on that. But have you ever thought about the fact that right now, without trying, you're in exactly the same place you'd be afraid of if you did fail? In other words, well, you're actually even in a worse place, really. Because if you try to learn another language and you don't, you're pretty much where you still are, aren't you? If you fail and you decide, okay, it's not going to work or whatever. Now, wait a minute, before I get first started, when I'm saying you're trying, I'm saying you really, really try. I'm not saying that you're going to go out and do it. You're going to learn to say count to 10 in your other language or learn the alphabet or something and then give up and say, I can't do it. I mean, really, really go in for it and try and do it. Take a class or something, get involved with a bunch of people, start learning the language or whatever it is that you want to do. I mean, really, really, really give it your all and make an attempt to do it. I repeat, I'm not saying something about just you're going to do something relatively simple and it's going to say, okay, I can't do it. It's too difficult, and quit. Kind of like, you go you sign up for a class in the language and you take one lesson and you say, I can't do this, and you walk out and never come back. That's not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about you really go all out and try and do it. You're at least further along than you would be right now. You would have learned something. Maybe you learned to count to 10. Maybe you learned to say the alphabet, whatever it is. You've got something then that from trying that you do not have now. However, what you've got now not only is nothing, you haven't learned that language, but you also have that nagging desire in the back of your head, and you also have that nagging knowledge that you never made the attempt. You don't know what's going to happen because you've never tried it. So that when you think about it right now, without trying anything at all, you are actually in a worse spot than you would be if you made an attempt and failed. Because if you made the attempt and failed, at least you knew you gave yourself a try and you learned what would happen and how complicated it is or whatever it was. On the other hand, you might actually even begin to be successful, at least to some degree. So again, using the idea of learning a language, maybe you're never going to become fluent, but at least you can say a few sentences, and you know that you had the experience of going through it and at least learning something that you knew that you were trying to do in the first place. You've got something to show for your efforts. You don't try because you're afraid to fail. You don't have anything to show for it, and you still have that fear of wishing you could try it and you don't want to because you know that you've got that nagging fear. So my challenge to you is to sit and think about which one, would you prefer? Because essentially you've already got what you're afraid you're going to get anyway, which is in a sense failure, so to speak, if you want to look at it, because you haven't tried anything. Isn't that basically failure when you're sitting there and you don't have it? You can do that. You want to lose weight, you don't try because you don't think you're going to do it. You haven't lost the weight. You want to go get a degree and you don't try because you don't think you can do it. You still don't have the degree. You think of something that you would want, but you're afraid to try, and you don't have it now. So what's the benefit of not trying? At least then you'd have some idea of knowing I did it and I tried and I could see what would happen. Got another issue with the idea about trying, because you either do it or you don't. So there's really no try, actually. It's you either do something and go toward that action or you don't. Right at this moment, you're not doing anything. So you're getting absolutely nowhere. You may even be going, in a sense, if you start say that right now this is zero moment, doing something to go towards your goal, in this case is, for my example, learning the language, at least getting a couple of classes or talking to people or something like that, gets you further into the positive territory. Sitting here doing nothing over the course of time actually makes you, in a sense, go in the negative direction because you've got all that time and you haven't done anything. So, which one means that you failed? In a sense, I could argue, and I think rather successfully, that right now you're in just the same place that you would be if you made the work and tried to accomplish that task. So hopefully this gives you a different way of looking at it and encourages you to put some effort into whatever it is you want to do and actually put some work into it, because you might be surprised, because you might actually find out that you can do it. You may not do it as great and marvelous and wonderful as you wanted to do in the first place, but you've got a better position because you've actually done something to accomplish that particular goal, which is probably going to make you feel a lot better than not doing it and being afraid that you're going to fail. So I hope this made sense. If this was sensible to you, please make a comment about that. If you thought it was helpful and you knew somebody who also needs it, please forward it to them and let me know. I would really appreciate it. So do send me your comments on this and see what you think about that, because I still think I could argue that you're failing is where you are right now. So why not try? Why not do what it is that you say you want to do? So with that in mind, I'll let you think about that for this next week or wherever it is you are, and see what you do next week about the direction you want to go. So with that in mind, I'll say bye, and we'll see you next week. I hope this was helpful. Bye, Valerie out.